Okay. All right. To be cognizant of everybody's time, I'm going to go ahead and start. So, welcome everybody. My name is Alicia Gallegos Butters, and I am thrilled to be here. I am the Director of Educational Technology here at the San Diego County Office of Ed, and I am presenting today with my partner, Ms. Carrie Lane. And she is one part of this phenomenal ed tech team that we have. So I want to direct you to a couple links on our slide deck to start with, and the slide deck will be shared with you. But you have the ed tech, the SDCOE ed tech website, which has a list of all of the presentations that we do, as well as recordings. We also do a series called Curious About, and all the presentations from that Curious About are on that website as well. But here are direct links to them. So I want to encourage you to visit those and check out what we have. Okay. Next, I want to direct you to a couple things that we have coming up in the next few weeks. The first one that I cannot encourage you enough to come to is on December 2nd, and that is our accessibility open house. And this is going to be a hands-on activity that will be, it's a Saturday, so I do understand that that is kind of tough for some people, but if you can come between 10 and noon, it's 2 hours, you won't regret it. It will be a hands-on experience, really going over what it would be like being a student that needs some accommodations. And so Carrie Lane has set up different modules. It will be a phenomenal morning, a couple of hours for you. Next, we also have our AR/VR network meeting, and that is a really fun one where you learn all about AR/VR, and that is virtual and in the afternoon, so after school, same time as this. And then we have our EdTech network meeting. Our next one will be December 13th, where we'll be going over coding and computer science. And as always, we have our Back to Basics series, and our next one will be drawing and Jamboard. So please, if you have not already done so, check those out and register. We would love to have you attend. So today we're going to be talking about Google Slides. In the chat, there is the job aid, and I'll just show it to you right here. So the job aid is here. Everything that Carrie and I will be going over today will be in that job aid. So do not feel like you have to take 1,000 notes and not be present, because we have put everything there for you, as well as some resource links. All right. So one thing that we're asked, why should people learn how to do Google Slides? What's the purpose of it? Well, we really love it for the 3 reasons we have listed here. One, it's a great tool to present information. It's really a concise way, and we're going to show you a couple samples of what that can look like that might be a little different from what you've experienced. Another one is it shows student work, which is great, where students can easily put their work in a presentation. And lastly, it's a great way to deliver your instruction. So right here at the bottom, we have 2 examples of how you would be able to use a Google slideshow. And here's one for primary school. And you will have access to all of these. You can use it as a template. So let's say you wanted to do a weekly schedule. So you would have your week 1, you would have maybe a video that you could create. You could have like a welcome letter from the teacher, and every day you can link to the assignments. I remember when I was a teacher, once a week, I would write, here's what your homework's going to be for the week on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, on Thursday, on Friday. And then I would give the students on Monday about 10 minutes to copy that down. And that was the one thing their parents just loved, because they could really plan out the week. I taught 7th grade, so there was a lot of parent involvement then. And so here's some examples of how you could create your activities in here. And again, this is a little more in depth. A lot of you won't choose to do something like this, but it is a really good just idea generator for you. Here's an example of what it could look like for secondary. So again, you have your weeks, you have your lessons, and then you can start to link to assignments. So all of these will be here for you to peruse. They're templates, so you can copy them, and I'll show you how to do that later. But all of that is for you to look at. So as we move forward, what I would like to encourage you to do, if you have questions, please do not hesitate to put them in the chat, or if you put them in the chat, Carrie and Chris, and I believe Pam is here, can go ahead and answer those questions, or they can bring it to the attention of the person delivering. All right. Okay, so here are some example slides. We're not going to go over those right now. What we're going to do is we're going to hop right into hands-on using Google Slides. So what you have here is you have some examples of what you can do. Before we move forward, any questions? Nope, we're ready to move forward. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to show you is how to access Google Slides. The main way that most of you probably are aware of accessing Google Slides is by going to New and going down to Slides. If you click here, you're going to have the option of a blank presentation, and a lot of you use that blank presentation, or you can also go from a template. I'll show you the templates right now. What many of you may not know is that your school districts may have templates already set up for you to use. SDCOE has templates for us to use, and they ask us to use these templates when we're presenting at board meetings or to school districts. So we have to use these in some cases. The reason why I actually really like these is because they have the logos, they're kind of formatted for us. So check that out to see if your district has those for you to use. But in general, Google does provide templates also for you to use. So these are just ones that they have. At the end of the training today, I have a little treat for you, which will be about 100 more templates that you would be able to use that are really teacher focused. Okay. So again, the way you can access your Google is the first way is going here, and you go to Google Slides and you just go to blank presentation. The next way, if you are already in a blank presentation, you can click on File and go to New, and then again, Presentation. So that's another way that you can do it. Another way you can access, if you wanted, is you could type in slides or slide.google.com. It's taking a moment. Oh, hold on, sorry. Actually, you could click in slide.new and it will open up a new presentation for you. So again, you have from Drive, if you already have a created slideshow, or if you want to click on slide.new, just in a URL, and that'll start a new one. Any questions about that? How many of you knew about that slide.new? A lot of people are like, I never knew that. And a little tip, you can do that with all your Google, most of your Google. So if you wanted to do that with a doc, you could type in doc.new. So that's a pretty common little shortcut for you if you've never done that before. Okay. All right. So now that we're in a slide presentation, to change the title, you just click on Untitled Presentation. And then here you would put in your title. So you could put in class schedule if you wanted to, or whatever that title is. And you just click there, and now it will change that title. You can also start to change the theme of your presentation. And changing the theme is always a really good thing to do. And you always want to think about, how do I make this more unique? How do I make it more appropriate? So one of the ways you can do is you just want to click on slide, and you want to go down to where it says edit theme. Oh, wait. Change theme, sorry. Change theme. And here are the different themes on the side for you. And so let's say I want to go with this one. I'm going to click on it, and it brings it forth. If I wanted to change some other things of that theme, I could also start to play around with that as well and change to some different themes. Any questions about that? Okay. To close that, you just click on the X and close. All right. The other thing that you want to be aware of is that when working with slides, the slides come in with many different types of slides. They come in with different layouts. So if you wanted to start to change your slide and you want to add slides, you click on the plus sign here. And when you click on that, you're going to get access to the different types of slides. One that a lot of people like to use is the title only slide. And they like to use the title only slide because it allows you to start to customize the slides in a lot of different ways. And so that's one that I use a lot, because up here in the toolbar, you'll see I have some tools that I could start to use. So I have the text box. So then I can add my own text boxes, and I can move them and put them wherever I want, opposed to if I were to select this one, which already has them built in. You could still move them, but they're a little more customizable when you come to the text box. You also have the ability to add an image, and it is a very simple thing to do. So you click on the little square and go to upload from a computer, and you can add an image. We were playing around with AI yesterday, so that picture is from that. Okay. You also have the ability to add shapes. So if I wanted to add an arrow, I love this one, to point something out, I can just hold my mouse down and stretch that arrow. So again, let me show you what I did. I came here, I went to arrow, I clicked on arrow. Do you see how my cursor is now a plus sign? So I can hold that down, hold my mouse, and direct it. It's turquoise in color because the theme of this is turquoise. If I were to click on this paint box or the paint bucket, it gives me other colors that will work with this theme. So I just changed it to green. Everybody with me? So again, you have the text box, you have the insert image, you have an insert shape, you also have a line. And again, you can see that I have the line accessed because when I bring my cursor down, it turns into a plus sign. And with this, I can just add a straight line. So if I wanted to underline something, I could do that. I can change the thickness of it by clicking on line weight. I could also make it dashes if I wanted. So I have a lot of options here as I start to move through my toolbar. Okay. Any questions? All right, let me just check the chat really quick to see if there's anything. Okay. All right, so Carrie, do you want to move forward?
Absolutely. So I'll share my screen. Okay, so as Alicia mentioned, there are a lot of different types of content that you can add. And so I put this template in just because some of the things that sometimes teachers are interested in making involve things where there are linked buttons. And so to kind of give you an idea, if perhaps you wanted to do a choice board for your students where they have an option to pick an activity out, and it could be math or science or social studies, and you want it to link directly to a slide within the page, that might be something that you want to do. And so I just made this template out of shapes like Alicia showed you, where I pulled in a shape. And you can do this also with an image. So I'll just search an image for science. And I can pull in, instead of having these buttons, I could have an image for science. Let me just get rid of this one. And so now I have my little image. And from here, what I can do, if I know that there is one page of my slideshow that I want to link to, for example, I made a slide for each of the subjects. So that's slide number 4. If I click into my image and then I right click on it, I'll have the option to link. The other way you can do it is you can click on this little insert link, and then you can have the ability to paste a link, which lots of us have done before. Maybe we link to external content and we use that within our slides. But the other thing that you can do is you can go down to the bottom where it says slides in this presentation, and then I can look for the subject that I want to link it to. And so I can make this little choice board where if students click on a specific button, and you'll notice I did it for some of them already, then they'll be directed to that slide. And so let me just show you in slideshow mode what that would look like. So we have our little science button. When I click into it, instead of going to the next slide like it normally would, it'll take me to the science. That didn't work. Ideally, it would take me to the science slide. I thought I linked it right, but there we go. Okay, and then if I want, I can always add a little button at the bottom and do the same thing to make it go to the home page. And so that would be how you create that linkable document where students can have options to take them directly to specific slides. Any questions on that? I didn't see any in the chat. But... Okay. Some other interesting things that you can add within your slideshow is there is the toolbar, and from there you can use the Explore tool. And this is going to allow you to basically look through and find content to put into your slideshow. And so once you hit something to search, it can search the web, and you can pull things directly from the web into your slides. You can pull in images, or you can pull things from your drive. And so this is an easy way to go and kind of scour the web within the sidebar of your Google Slides. The next thing that I wanted to show you is that you can add in videos. So perhaps if you're teaching a math class and you want to add in a video, you can go to Insert. And a lot of the things that Alicia showed you on the toolbar are also in this insert menu. So whenever you see insert, it's just what kind of content can I put into my slides? And so we have images, we have text, audio. We also have videos. And so this is a great opportunity. It links directly to allow you to search with YouTube. So if I want to type in a fraction video, fraction equivalence, it'll search through YouTube and find you different videos that you can then go in and really quickly insert. Obviously, whenever you're inserting content, you should make sure that it is content that you have checked beforehand. You wouldn't just do what I did where I put it in. But you'll notice once you insert any of these types of videos, you'll have the option of how you want to start playing it and then where you want to start and where you want to end. So this is really nice if you don't want to include all of your video for your students within the content. You can give it explicit instructions on where it starts and where it ends. And this format options is available whenever you add content. So if you're adding an image, you'll have certain format options. Shapes will have other format options. And so depending on what content you're adding, you'll see options to format it in different ways. Actually, let me do that for you so you can see. So now if I click on this, there are format options that are slightly different. So now I have options like recoloring my dog picture. I can make it darker. It's a sad looking dog. Black and white. So lots of different options for whatever type of content you're adding. Thank you, Alicia. All right. So we went through pretty much the main content that you can add into your slides from that toolbar, and then we went through videos. You can also from here add tables, charts, diagrams. If you want fancy lettering that isn't just the font that you're selecting, you can add in word art. The other thing you can add in from here is comments. And so this is something that just in general with Google, when you're thinking about collaboration, one of the perks of using Google products is that you can collaborate with your students can collaborate with each other. And so there are certain things within Google and especially Google Slides that make it really easy to collaborate with each other. And one of those things is commenting. And so if students are sharing with you or you're sharing with students, you can add comments to things, ask them questions. And if you add the @ symbol, it'll even send them a direct email. So depending on if your students have direct emails, you may or may not use this, but if I wanted to send Alicia a question, I could put the @ symbol and automatically I can assign something to Alicia to tell her, hey, can you fix this picture? I don't like this one as much as I like the other dog you put in. You can also add comments by clicking in this comment icon here and then hitting the plus comment. See, there's a question. How can you add videos from your curriculum like Benchmark instead of YouTube? So when you go into the video, there is also the option where you can add it from your Google Drive. And so if you have some type of video that you've downloaded or uploaded into your Google Drive, you can add that type of content as well. The other thing, if it's a specific curriculum platform, what I sometimes have done is I will just make a little button here that says benchmark or something else, and then it will link out to the video on that curriculum. So depending on whether it's like something where you can't go, you have to actually go to the external platform to see the video. If you can't download it and import it into Google Drive or import it through an upload, then you can always just link back out and do it with like a cute button or just a regular text and link out to it. For sure. So some other things that are important to know within your slides, it's really useful to know how easy it is to arrange your content. And so for example, I just did my math page, but if I want my students to go in order and maybe I want them to do their science first, or if it's week 1 and week 2 instead of subjects, you can simply drag and drop on this sidebar on the left, and that's going to allow you to quickly move your content without actually deleting or changing anything. You can also, from this sidebar, right-click, and this will allow you to add a new slide right after the current slide, to duplicate a slide in case you want to make a second copy that you can then make changes. If you're planning on presenting, but you're not sure if you want to actually showcase that specific slide, you can hit the skip slide and it will be hidden in your slideshow view. And the other thing that you can do from here is you can delete a slide. So this is a good option for deleting slides as well. I see Alicia shared something in the chat. So if the video is not on YouTube or another source like that, you will need to record the video on your screen. Yep, so you can always do that as well. Screencastify or another screen recording tool, save it, and then you can upload it in. Okay. Another useful menu that you'll use within slides is the file menu, because the file menu will allow you to import slides. So maybe some of us have done a lot of work within PowerPoint, or we've done other Google Slides that we might want to import. So from import slides, you can go in and you can upload from your computer. So that will allow you to upload if you've done things in Microsoft PowerPoint. You can go and upload from previous slideshows. And so this is just a really easy way to take content from one set of slides and put it into another slide. From that file menu, you can also download slides. And so what's really nice about this is you can download it as a PowerPoint. You can also download things as a PDF. And so a lot of times people prefer to do things as PDFs. That's an option here. So there are options for how you download different slides into different formats. Here you also have a lot of other options that are similar. You can make a copy of an entire presentation, or you can highlight slides and then make a copy of selected slides if you know that you only want to copy some of them. And then one of the things that I really wanted to point out today is the ability to publish to the web. And so previously in our Google trainings, we have talked quite a bit about sharing. And so I will go in, you can share within here. You can go to File, Share, or you can go to this button for sharing right over here. So with the share option, you can share with others. And that allows you to add people, to add in groups. So you can just type in people's names and add them. From there, you can select whether they can view, comment. You can add an expiration date. You can also adjust the general access. So can anyone with a link view it? And you can change, can they edit? Can they comment? You can copy the link. There are some additional settings here too about permissions. But what's also really interesting, and I do recommend considering this one for a couple of reasons. If you go to share and then you publish to the web, you can grab a link or you can embed. And so for anyone who's using a learning management system, perhaps Canvas or any other platform where you're able to embed content, this is great because this allows you to grab an embed code that you can put directly into a Canvas course or some other platform, and then it will just play the video automatically. And so if, for example, Benchmark, and I would assume it doesn't do this because you probably have some permissions issues there, but if there's a type of content that you have a video content and that has an embed code, you should be able to copy the embed code and you can place it into different places. And so this is the same with Google Slides. You can take that embed code and you can put it into your courses or other content. The other thing that I like about publish to the web is once you've published something to the web, it's seen as a web page. And then because it's a web page, you can use all of the different Chrome extensions and tools such as screen readers and the immersive reader and any of those Chrome extensions that maybe you like to use or explore. Those things then become active and you can use them on Google Slides once it's published to the web because it's like a web page. And so Chrome extensions will read and be able to, you can utilize them on that. So consider if it's an open thing and you don't mind sharing it, publishing to the web. I see a lot of questions in the chat, so I'm just going to check with my team to see if there's anything that I missed that I can answer or if they want to jump in for anything.
No, we're covering everything, Carrie. Thank you.
Great. So the next thing that I want to show is about presenting your slides. And so once you have your slides, you have the option to present them. And so the first thing is you can hit the slideshow button, and this is going to be the way that you present your content out to perhaps your students if you're in a classroom. There is also, if you click on the little down arrow, the option to go into presenter view. And this allows you to see speaker notes and also allows you to do something called Q&A. And I'm going to do Q&A so you can see it, but I wanted to show it to you from the slideshow mode rather than presenter view. So when I jump into presenter view, just so you can see it, this is what pops up, and it gives you just what happens before, what happens next, and it gives you your timer so you can keep track of what you're saying as you're saying it, especially if you have some kind of screencast you're doing and you want it to be timed. That's all within presenter view. So that's an option for presenting. The other option you have is to go to slideshow. And this is traditionally, I think most people use this. This is just going to present out your content as a slideshow. And I'm just quickly going to move my screen. So with this, you'll notice that I can toggle between my slides by going through the back arrows or the forward arrows. I can also click into here. And this is going to allow me to select a specific slide to jump to. And then if I click on the 3-dot options, there are so many different things that I can turn on while I'm presenting. So one of the most useful features is the captions. If you go to caption preferences, you can toggle captions. So I'm going to do that right now. And what's going to happen is that you're going to notice as I'm speaking, it's captioning for me. And that makes it really useful for accessibility. It is Google Translate and captioning. So based on that, it's not 100% accurate, but it's still a lot more useful for students who perhaps cannot hear what you're saying or, need that multimodal communication. This is super useful, and all it took was you clicking on the 3 dots and going to captions preferences. And if you'd like, you can change the text size and you can change the text position. The other things you can do from here, you can set auto playing options. So if you don't want to be near the clicker, or if you don't want to have a wireless clicker that you're carrying with you, you can set it so that it rotates the slides in a certain format. You can also turn on a pen or a laser pointer. So if I want to point out specific things like, wow, this dog is in black and white and it's kind of creeping me out, I can do that. I can also turn on my pen and start marking things up. So I could say, and then I can start to do some math here and adjust it. I should have done 3 since that was what was in the video, but that's okay. So you can add in all of that. The other thing that you can do if you go to more is you can do something called question and answer. And this is actually very similar to the chat in Zoom. So when I click into this, you'll notice, and hold on one second, it just popped behind my screen. So let me try again. There we go. So it's not showing. Let me adjust my share really quickly. Okay. So with this is called the question and answer mode. And you might notice it's the presenter view. So coming from the presenter view, there's something called Q&A mode, which is you're able to start new. It's going to generate a link for you that you can then give to your students. And then if I shared this with my students in the chat, and there was a shorter link that I meant to grab, but if I shared that link in the chat with my students, then my students can go ahead and ask a question. They can ask it anonymously, and that would be depending on your class norms. You hit submit, and then as the presenter, when I go into my Q&A mode, I can see what questions have come up, and people can thumbs up and thumbs down them. I can present the questions as I'm presenting to you so that my class can see the questions that are coming in. So these are really interesting. And then when I jump out of my slides, I can actually go into the tools menu And there's a whole Q&A history. So if you're teaching a lesson over time and you want to collect all of the questions that have come up over time, you can go back into the Q&A history, and then you'll be able to see all of the Q&As that happened. And so you'll notice I used this demo doc before, and now I can see all of these different times that Q&As have been generated and who's created the questions, which are all me. Okay. Any questions on that?
So, Carrie, I don't know if we saw your last bit or not, if you were sharing, not sharing.
Oh, thank you. I will reshare that really quickly so that everybody can see. So what I was showing on that, and I appreciate the feedback, was I went to the tools menu and I went to Q&A. And from here, I can see the Q&A for the whole document. So because it was my demo document, I can see that every time I've presented this, I've done Q&A mode and asked a question. So I can go back and see all of the questions that were asked. Some other useful tools that you can go into, you can voice type speaker notes for yourself. And you'll notice at the bottom, there are these little speaker notes over here. And so sometimes as you're creating content for yourself, you don't want to put so much on a slide because that makes it harder for your students to read. The more kind of visuals are there and the more you're just sticking to the main ideas, that makes it much easier for them to process. But you might want to have a guide to yourself. So if you type in you can have that here. The students won't see it, but you'll be able to see it in your speaker notes. You'll be able to see it in presenter view. And if you don't want to see it for some reason, you can toggle that on with show speaker notes or hide speaker notes. And so that's a good way for you to put notes for yourself. And you can also, in the tools, go into voice type speaker notes. So you can use voice typing to write yourself speaker notes. Okay. See, Alicia shared.
Oh, I was just talking about, somebody had asked if it could translate the captions. And right now it's English only, but there is a translation or an extension that will translate Google Slides. But I was just explaining that we don't go into Google Slides because of it just depends on your IT department of whether they allow that or not.
Absolutely. There are a lot of different tools that you can use to translate things, but right now the captions are just in English. Yeah, great question though. All right, so those are some of the main and key elements when you're presenting. Some of the things you can do for communications involve, like I mentioned, making comments. You can also share it out and collaborate with others. When you are collaborating with others within the slideshow, you sometimes will see a little logo that pops up. You may have seen it in the past when multiple people are on a slideshow at once. Actually, let me pull over. I think this should work. Yes, you can see that Alicia is in this document with me. I can actually have a running conversation with her from the document. So that's another way that you can communicate with your students as you go. So there are lots of tools for communication here. There's a lot for accessibility in terms of those captions. There's the option, whenever you add a picture, you can right click and add alternative text to it. That helps with accessibility. And so there's really a great way to engage your learners and to make content relevant. And we talked a lot about content you can add, and Alicia touched on formatting. And I wanted to share with you a really useful thing that you can do, which is creating master slides. And there's a video we have that really sums it up super nicely. So I am going to put the video on and make sure that I've enabled my sound. And everyone let me know if you can hear it in just a second.
How to get the most of Grammarly free.
Yes.
It's Kayla on behalf of Grammarly to tell you
individually. So the theme you've chosen for your presentation looks pretty good, but you want to make a few changes. You could edit each slide individually, but a better solution is to edit the master slides. Learning how to work with master slides can be a little challenging, but the reward is well worth it. To get started, click Slide, then Edit Master. The new editor will open over top of your presentation. Here, instead of editing individual slides, you are editing slide layouts. Along the left side, you'll see all of the layouts in your theme. And if you look closely, you'll see a yellow outline around the currently selected layout. If you were to make changes to this layout, those changes would be applied to each slide in your presentation that uses this layout. If you want to make changes that affect the whole presentation, select the master slide at the top. Editing a master slide is similar to editing a normal slide in your presentation. You can add and remove elements, change text formatting, and more. For example, you can click the title text to select it, go to the toolbar, and make it italic. If you look closely, you'll see that the titles in all of the slide layouts are now italic as well. If you also want to change the color of the text, click Text Color. You have two options at this point. You could simply choose a new color for the text, or you could choose to edit the theme colors. The advantage of editing the theme colors is that you can change the color everywhere it's used in the presentation, not just in the title. Let me show you what I mean. Click the pencil icon to open the Theme Colors pane. Then, click the drop-down. There are several theme colors to choose from, but we want Text and Background 1. Then, choose a new color. When you look at the slide layouts, you'll see that not only has the title color changed, but the background color on several other layouts has changed as well. That's the power of using theme colors. You can update your entire presentation with just a few clicks. Let's go back to our presentation. Click the X in the top right to close the Theme Colors pane, and then again to close the Master Slides editor. Now we can see that the new color and title formatting has been applied to the presentation. This is looking pretty good, but I do want to make a few more changes. I want the blue box on the title slide to be larger, but there's a problem. I can't select it. That's because the blue box is part of the slide's layout, not of the slide itself. To edit the layout, once again go to Slide, Edit Master. Now you can select and edit all of the elements. I'll click and drag the box's sizing handle to make it larger, and I'll hold the Control key while dragging to make it resize from the center. That helps keep everything lined up. Then, I'll select the white outline and size it up as well. There. I like that better. When I close out of the editor, I can see that my title slide has updated. As you can probably tell, learning how to work with master slides is a little tricky, but it's also super useful. Another benefit.
Okay. And one of the nice things about using the master slides also is that if you're sharing with students, as you notice that presenter for the video, he wasn't able to actually change the box itself without going into the master slides. And so if there are elements of your slideshow that you don't want students to adjust, or even your coworkers to adjust, but you do want them to kind of work within those slides, you can make it so that certain elements are static and some of them can be adjusted. And so that's a really nice use of the master slides, in addition to the fact that you can use them to easily format lots of things at one time. And so that was the slides menu, and they went to the edit theme. The other things you can do within the slides menu, you can add in those transitions. So some of you may have seen in the past, like when a slide flies in or flies out, used to happen a lot more. I think people got kind of sick of them, but those are added here. So that's another thing you can do from the slides menu. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to Alicia, who will share with you a couple of really great things that we have also.
Great. So before we move forward, are there any questions? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again with you. All right, one of the nice things about working at the San Diego County Office of Ed is that we get access to a lot of really great things. And one of the things that we have access to is a folder that we call Cool Free Slide Templates to Share. And in this folder, you'll see that our wonderful Pamela Rabin curated many different slide templates, and we are going to give you this link so you will have access to all of these. You have permission to use all of them. They're free. So again, you can just go in to make a copy of any of these. What you want to do is you want to go into File, and then you're going to go to Make a Copy, and you'll make a copy of the entire presentation. Once you do that, you'll be able to manipulate, change, add slides, change slides, add your name, add your picture, whatever you want to any of these different slides. So as you can see, that's a copy of a teacher conference. Here's a copy of a Facebook template if you wanted to have your students do like a Facebook profile, digital notebooks. So let me put this in the link in the chat, and you'll be able just to peruse and decide which ones you want to use for yourself. But all of those are now open to you to use. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, but we wanted to make sure you had that. So are there any questions? Take a moment, look at those different templates, and let us know if there's any that you cannot wait to start using. You're like, oh, I'm going to use those right away. You're welcome. Welcome. All right. So we did get to finish a little early. So if you have specific questions, we can answer those. But if not, we're going to stop the recording in about a minute. And then we hope to see you at our next Google session.